Okay, yeah, so like I was introduced, I'm Bart. I'm going to tell you a little bit about numbers, and not the numbers for the app itself, not the Google Analytics, but numbers for your company. Before I talk a bit about how you should implement these numbers for your company, maybe it's a bit of an idea to explain where I'm coming from. I work for a company called WireLab. We're a Dutch company, and we make promotional games. The fact that we make promotional apps and games means that we have very, very tight deadlines. Most of the times, for example, a car company comes with a new car. They spend a crazy amount of money on, for example, TV commercials, and then at the last possible moment, they're like, yeah, maybe we should have like a small website as well. So then they come to us. The deadline is already set, so it's like, yeah, we want this game, and we saw this very, very fancy campaign. We want the same thing. It has to be finished within 3 weeks, and we're not quite sure what we want yet. That makes our deadlines a little bit weird. For example, yesterday I heard about companies who work on prototypes. They work for 4 days on prototypes and then throw them away. We need to build the entire product in a week. There's no way we get away with prototyping 4 days, telling the client we're going to be a week late. Talks like, usually when I used to go to conferences, I used to cry because of conferences. The fact is, I heard these stories about all of these companies like GitHub and Heroku and Facebook, and they're all like, we have the perfect clients. Clients are always happy. We have the perfect workflow. We have everything is unicorns and rainbows. And then I went back to work after the conference, and for 1 week I was like, let's get these unicorns to WireLab. And then it was yet again a tight deadline, a tight schedule, and yeah, it wasn't a. The inspiration was always there, and a week later it always faded out. We had bright ideas, brilliant plans, and always a week later it's just 9 to 5 or way longer than 5, just work, 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 and just get the work finished and don't focus on the workflow. Luckily, we're engineers. We're here to fix things. We do fixing stuff for a living, so why shouldn't we implement our own knowledge on our own workflow, on our own ideas? Yeah, and that's what we did at WireLab, and like you heard yesterday, you got to try this, and that's how I feel about this. We did some tricks, we grew as a company, and really, you should really try this. To WireLab, what's important, I think it's probably important for every single company, is that we try to achieve a couple of goals with every product we do, with every message we send out to the public. One of them is innovation. We really want to be making new stuff all the time. We want people to talk about us. We don't want to make a website. We want to make an experience. People should really be excited. And if that's a website or a game or even a product, you want people to be excited about the stuff you make. Yeah, hand in hand with that goes quality. We really need quality, especially for us with the tight deadlines. We can't get away with bad quality. There's the TV commercial starts. There's hundreds of thousands of people are visiting the game, and people are getting 404s or 500. Stuff breaks down. It's just not possible. Quality is very, very important. And of course, beauty is there. Of course, everything has to look shiny, like every piece of software and every product, every game, every website. In the end user looks to, is it shiny or not? It has to be pretty as well. It really boils down to one thing. We really want to be better than all of our competition. We want to be better than the rest. And I think that's the same for every company. No one starts a company or works for a company. No, I'm just okay doing it like this, and I don't really care about it. No, you want to improve, you want to shine, and you want to tell the other people, I work at this company, we do it like this, and we're way, way better than these other guys. And yeah, that's what you should strive for. The problem is better than the rest is really... it's hard to tell when are you better than the rest. Are you better than the rest maybe when your designs are prettier than theirs, or when your code has less bugs, or maybe you're better than your competition if you make stuff that has never been done before. Are you better than the rest when you think you are better than them, or maybe you're just better than the rest if they think you are? The problem with all of these things is to know if you're better than the rest or if they're better than you, and you have to grow in some areas. You need to measure these things you think are important in your company. You need numbers, and because without these numbers, you don't know whether you're getting better, whether you suck at something and not growing at something. You need to reach up. These are tricky things, especially, for example, innovation. How do you measure innovation? I mean, sure, you can use a new product, or you can yell that you're the first one to do something. The problem very often with the internet is you're not the first thing to do something. Probably you're just the one yelling loudest that you're the one doing something. We try to focus on a bunch of things when we try to focus on innovation is using new technologies. That's for us innovation, and it doesn't mean the end user has to see it, but when we use, for example, Ember or Pusher to communicate between people, at least the developers at our company are really proud and really happy, and like, this is the stuff we go to work for, this is the stuff we want to do. Also interaction, stuff that the user does realize, for example, live video. We did an app a while ago for a car brand where people needed to vote on something, and you could just see a live stream of a live car reacting on that, and it's a new way of interacting. It's not just pushing a button, seeing a graph change. It's a new experience. And obviously, you want innovation, you want people to talk about it, you want people to blog about it. People should be excited about what you're doing, because then you know you're on the right track. And new technologies for us, we decided, we need to put new technology in every single product we build. And it doesn't mean it doesn't have to be a huge thing, it can be a small thing as well. But if you want to grow as a company, and if you want to grow as a company, you just try to achieve at least one new thing every product. And even if it's like a crazy deadline of it has to be finished next week, still try to put in that one thing, even how small it is, to improve on. Very simple, very obvious. You want to go for the awards, you want to blog about it, or want people to blog about you. When we started focusing on this, we thought, of course, if you make pretty things, we saw all of the other companies make shiny things, make impressive things, they all won awards, and we were like, yeah, sure, we have to make very awesome stuff, and we're going to win awards. At least in the Netherlands, it turns out if you want to win awards, you have to pay them, because otherwise you won't even be considered for winning the award. So, for example, a while ago, you used to have the FWA, like these huge, very fancy Flash websites, and every day I was just checking them and like, oh my god, this is very, very awesome stuff. The problem is, if you do want to end up on there, you will have to pay them for a submission. You do have to end up on that site, so it's something you really have to work toward. The awards don't come to you, you have to come to them, and otherwise you're never going to win them. Measuring quality is actually, very simple. We're all, or most of us are developers here. In the end, it all boils down to ones and zeros. Measuring quality of your work it's made pretty easy, actually. For us, quality is less bugs. Obviously, you don't want stuff to break down when the user is using it. But a little bit less obvious, especially for our clients, is that fast updates are very, very important in quality. If your client comes to you, I want to change this word or this feature, and you're going to say, it's going to take a couple of weeks, even if the entire app only took a week, no one's going to buy that. You need to make your product in a way that's easy to update, and there's tools for that to help you with that. And also, of course, you need to build the features your client wants. There's a lot of companies who write a huge document like, this is the stuff you need to build. They start building on it, and months later, they finish the product. Turns out it's completely different than the client wants. A part of quality is just listening to your client and make sure, even if your client says something, make sure that it's the stuff he actually wants. Just focus on what the client actually needs. And there's a bunch of tools that really, really help with this, with these quality issues. One very, very simple one for us is SIMPLECOV. It's so very easy. It's a gem. You just include it in your Rails install, and it's going to tell you, like, you're messing up with tests. Tests is something we completely failed with not too long ago. We didn't write any tests at all because the client is like, it has to be finished next week. We can't say, okay, we're going to do test-driven development, we're going to write a bunch of tests today, and tomorrow we're going to start working. Our manager would not appreciate it. Like, back then we were just like, okay, it needs to be finished. We skip the tests, it just has to be finished. If it works, it's fine, and we're good enough, we can write it without tests. Obviously, it doesn't work like that. And one of the tools that really, we used to write tests, or we said we wrote tests, and it was like, but I tested this feature, I wrote a unit test, and it checks if the validations are correct. And that is the only level of testing we did for a very long time. Just validation testing. Yeah, sure, this is a user should have an email. If you write your Rails the proper way, of course you need to test it, but it should work anyways. SIMPLECOV really helps you out because it tells you, like, okay, your tests are really not good enough. You're just missing these entire pieces of code. You're missing these entire classes. If you just enable SIMPLECOV, say, okay, I want 100% coverage, You're going to have, and absolutely going to have an hard time at first, but after that it forces you, you have to write these tests, even if you don't want to or don't think you need to. SIMPLECOV will tell you you have to write these tests, so you end up writing them. What works perfectly well with SIMPLECOV is Travis. We use Travis, and Travis, it runs out tests every time we push a commit up to GitHub. It checks with SIMPLECOV if the coverage is okay, and if not, it yells at the person who broke the build or didn't write the tests, and we're all in an IRC channel. A Travis bot comes in and just says, just plainly like, this and this colleague of yours broke this because he didn't write enough tests or didn't. For us, that's very simple to measure our quality improvement. We started with absolutely 0 tests. We said, okay, we do want to write tests. We do want to grow in this as a company. So we said, okay, we're going to start with 50%, absolute bare minimum. You have to have 50% coverage. And for us, it was really, SIMPLECOV makes it easy to measure, and Travis makes it easy to enforce it. You really can't push anymore because Travis will come in and will tell you, yeah, you broke it, and your entire team gets to see you broke it, and you're going to have to fix it. Once you have your test running at the moment, for us, the iteration is very fast. Like I said, we have short projects. Projects are, we work on them for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and most of them are online, maybe 1 week up to 4 weeks, then they go offline completely. For us, that makes, when we want to experiment with this kind of stuff, the short iterations work very well for us. And at the moment, we're up at the 100% coverage. And okay, it's the next step. We do write tests. We do have 100% coverage. All of our tests are passing all the time. How else do we improve that quality? And there's another very, very easy solution to that, Code Climate. It's a tool that just tells you very plainly whether, even if your test pass, your code can still suck, your classes are way too large, or stuff is way too complicated, and Code Climate will very easily tell you you've got an A for this and you absolutely suck at that and you need to fix it. It's very easy measurement for the quality of your code and the quality of your projects altogether. Another thing, a little bit less technical, I'm pretty sure everyone works in some sort of agile workflow here. Is there anyone who doesn't work agile? Just the huge documents up front. And we used to do that for a very long time, and we got sold by one of our colleagues who started working at us, like, you really need to do this. It turns out for us, not actually the basic principle of Agile, but especially with Scrum, there were some freebies actually that came with it that for us really, really improved our quality of work, not just our workflow, but for example, Scrum enforces you to have a definition of done. Before we started doing this, we said the feature is done if I feel like it. Sure, the client asks this. Yeah, sure, it's in there. So perfect, not going to touch it anymore, going to start on the new feature. The definition of done makes it very simple. You got this literally a checklist that says, okay, it needs to work in IE7, it needs to have this, it needs to have this feature, you need to make sure that it indexes correctly, that it scales correctly, whatever you want on there. It's just a very basic checklist. However, every feature needs to have all of these checks on there. Before, very, very often with mails especially, we run into issues where, when I check it on Outlook 2000, it works perfectly, but Outlook 2001, it breaks completely, and when I check it on my BlackBerry, it breaks completely. Now, you do turn up with a huge checklist if you do want to cover these things, but we do end up with it now. It's not done unless you checked all of these items on the checklist, and it's so very easy. Before we started with the definition of done, it was just done when you felt like it. Now it's just 100% checked, and you know everything, it's done, and you know it's done because your tests are passing and your definition of done says it's done. Another freebie you get with Scrum is velocity. You really get to measure, and very literally measure, the speed you work at. Instead of hours, you estimate all of your work in points. We started out doing 50 points a week with our team. Really depends on teams, obviously, and how you rate your pointing system. But we finished 50 points of work per week, and we very soon noticed if we tweaked little areas, especially workflow areas, that we got to improve our points. So we got to improve our work speed, and it's very easy to measure with these points. We're at 50 now. We're at 50 back then. We're at 70 now, and it's very simple. You can just say, this is our time gain. This is our improvement, and it's a very simple, very hard number that shows that you're improving. A very tricky one with us is measuring beauty, especially because everyone has his own opinion about it. The client has a huge opinion about it. It should be this monkey and it should clap like that, and the client wants something completely different. Developers want something completely different. It's very tricky, obviously. We end up with a designer who is very, very absolutely satisfied with something, and then the developer looks at it and it's like, we're not going to build it like this. It's very nice that you did these rounded corners or made the form backwards or upside down or whatever. There's just a lot of stuff that's beautiful to the designer and is absolutely horrible to a developer. It's something you need to work on. It's something you need to grow on, and especially the same goes for the client. When does the client, when is it beautiful? When the client likes it, or do you actually think it's awesome when not the client, but the actual user likes it? It's very easy to measure a bunch of these things, it turns out, because you can very simple just throw everything you built on Dribbble. Dribbble is a very nice thing because Dribbble has a bit of the same community as like Twitter. You see that actual people use it, not companies use it. Obviously, there's also companies on Dribbble. There's also companies on Twitter, but the designer gets to show his stuff. It's not YLab stuff he showed. It's his own work. He made it, and he gets to be proud of it. And also, Dribbble has the nice thing that it doesn't really look too much for brands. For example, we use Behance as well to display all of our portfolio work. We thought when we started, like, okay, let's throw all of our work on Behance. You start out with 10 likes because your design maybe sucks, and you end up with 100 likes because everything thinks this design is awesome. It really doesn't work like that on Behance. If you make something very, very awesome for the local bakery on the corner, you get no likes. And if there's a very, very hasty job for a big brand that everyone knows, you get an enormous amount of likes because people like the brands, not the actual designs. For us, that's a very good reason to stick with Dribbble, because Dribbble is really designers rating designs, and Behance is a bit more broad. There's also marketeers, there's also developers, there's a lot of different people on Behance, and we noticed that it's very tricky to measure the improvement of your designs on Behance. You'd only measure the improvement of the names of the clients you're getting, and that's not really what we were trying to measure at all. Another very simple one is feedback rounds by clients. When we started out, we had literally 20 feedback rounds on every design. Clients were coming like, this button should be on the right, and you updated design. Then the client came again, okay, the button should be slightly less that way. And then once the button was finished, okay, now let's start on the title. And it was a very, very long process because we were really always thinking about what's easy for the designer or what's easy for us, and we were less thinking about what's the designer or what the client actually wants, what the users of them actually want, and it's very easy to measure that. We started, for example, with 20 feedback rounds. We try to get that as close as possible to 0. It's obviously is never going to work. The client's always going to have some feedback, but the shorter your feedback rounds are, the better your designs are getting, at least according to your client. Another thing we didn't do at all before, because we don't prototype, is checking with actual users if they like the design. We have a big company, the big company has a marketing guru, and he is like, this should work like that because I read somewhere that yellow buttons convert way better than purple buttons, so it doesn't matter what the design does, the button has to be yellow. And we often ended up with really weird designs, but somewhere it said that it was better if it was this way. And in the end, the client is the client, so if he says, you have to do it like this, okay, we have to build it like this. What we started doing more lately is ask the client, because we make a lot of promotional stuff that's always connected to a Facebook page, and it's so very, very simple to just simply ask the end user, very plainly, do you like this design? The client can actually just make a screenshot, take a piece of or for example, the header or the new logo, whatever, paste it on his Facebook. It's very simple, just ask, do you like it, don't you like it, what don't you like? And it's so very simple to ask for this feedback. How simple it is, it does have to occur to you. You do have to do it, and that's something we learned. And user feedback, it's a very easy measurement. If the user keeps complaining that everything is wrong, you listen too much to the client or too much to your developers or to the wrong person, and it's a very simple measurement. Obviously, awards, you have to, like I said, you have to pay them to get the awards. The more awards you get. We assumed only if you get like 20 awards a year, you must be doing awesome work. And yeah, like I said before, it doesn't really work out like that. The awards it's a nice to have, and it looks very good. If you get a real copy, you can print out, put it on your wall, put it on your website, yell it to people who don't really know what it's about. It works perfectly. The thing is, we don't want to impress the people who don't know anything about it. We want to become better than our competitors. And our competitors absolutely do know that the award doesn't really mean anything. In the end, it does all boil down to one thing. All of these numbers you collect, the interaction with your clients, for example, the users who like your designs, or the feedback rounds you have with your clients, or the interaction you have with your own users on Facebook. It all boils down, you have to grow these numbers. So when we decided, like, okay, we're not going to put all of our measurements and efforts in just the product, we're going to measure our own company, we needed to decide, okay, what we're going to measure. Especially after a conference like this, we get back and we say we want to improve our testing, we want to improve the awards we win, we want to improve how often we speak at conferences. It turns out we really do want a lot. And all of this stuff is absolutely awesome. It's all of it you absolutely need to do with your company. Only the problem is you don't need to do this all at once, because if you try to do this all at once, and we did try to do it all at once, nothing's going to get done. Literally nothing is going to get done. So yeah, it turns out we really do want a lot. The only thing is, yeah, you really need to set goals. You don't need to yell like, we're going to do everything. We're going to be over 1 week. We've been at this conference. All of us been at the conference. We all know we need to be awesome. Like these guys at the conference. Next week, it's all going to be different. It really doesn't work like that. So you really need to set goals. And for us, that turned out that we, every month, like I said, for us, that's maybe a bit easier than for the bigger software companies, but we deliver new products every month, so we can iterate on stuff every month. And for us, that means every month we set hard numbers. And what's even more important to us, we need to make someone responsible. Normally, if you got back from a conference, we're going to do awesome stuff, we're going to be great, and everyone just ends up working like hell for his deadlines and stressing out and absolutely forgetting everything. What we do now, we set goals every month. This and this designer is responsible for the Dribble account, and the Dribble account, we need to put at least 5 items in it, and we want to see that the likes grow, or the connection grow, not just the likes, but the comments on it, that people actually talk about it, discuss it. These goals make it very easy for us. And because we have one person responsible, it's also very easy to say the next month, you didn't do your work. You said you were going to do, you were going to attain these likes, you're going to work on improving our Dribble, for example, and you really didn't make it. When we started with this, we were toying around with an idea like, maybe you should have actual punishments and actual bonuses if you make it. Like, I don't know, don't make your goal, you have to wear a headphone with Rick Astley all day. I don't know, if you get a bonus, you get cake, whatever. For us, it really turns out we don't need the repercussion, we don't need the bonus. The only fact that you're responsible is enough for us. It's really in the end of the month, your entire team comes together. You didn't make your goal. There's no way you're going to get out of that. You didn't make your goal. And for our team, that works perfectly. You made a commitment beginning of the month. You didn't make your commitment, and that's punishment enough. And for us, it really works. And yeah. So we had some internal goals for development. Like I mentioned before, we did realize our testing absolutely sucked. Like I said, we started using SIMPLECOV, we started using Travis, we did some workshops with ThoughtBot, for example. ThoughtBot really has some awesome tutorials. Even if you want to get started with testing, you really should check out ThoughtBot Prime. Other stuff with development that we tried is, besides testing, is pair programming. We just wanted to improve our quality, our updates, the speed of our updates. We noticed that if we pair program very often, you have to think way more about your stuff, and we noticed that for an update, a very simple update, normally it could take a couple of days to work it through something, for example, because person A built it, person B had absolutely no clue about it, and had to fix it, and it just takes a long time. Pair programming for us not only makes the fact that you have to think about your code because someone's looking with you, you can't write down complete bullshit. Yeah, people are going to notice. The good thing as well is that there's several people working on the same piece of code. So if someone's not there, if someone's not at the office, someone else can fix it. And we noticed that our updates really improved dramatically by pair programming. We also set a bunch of design goals. Like I mentioned, we set a design goal that we wanted to do on our entire portfolio on Behance. It's still something we do. Behance is still an awesome place to showcase your work. It did turn out it's not an awesome place to measure your growth in design. It's really all, it comes down to the brand name. And we really noticed that we have 3 bigger brands that we do recurring work for, and we have a big bunch of smaller brands, local Dutch brands. The local Dutch brands really don't get any likes, only if we share the links with the actual client or with our mom or whatever. Yeah, sure, then we get likes. With Dribbble, we get likes by designers, we get likes by people who actually know what they're liking, and we know that our quality is improving. And especially what Behance does is, yeah, I appreciate it, and it's one button, and with Dribbble, you really get burned down if you do something wrong. People will take the time to explain. They'll write a comment and say, yeah, you really shouldn't have done this, or I would have done it this way, and it's way more valuable than just I like it or I don't like it. And with Dribbble, you know, the people who say they like it or don't like it actually know what they're talking about. Another thing we really improved on is our social part of our company. We're a company who focus mainly on promotional games, and at this time and age that really comes down, we focus mainly on Facebook promotional apps and games. And when you looked at our Facebook page, there was absolutely nothing. There was like a year-old post like, we've been to this conference, and look, we had fries at the office on Friday, and stuff like that. We really made people responsible for it, like, yeah, you really need to post updates, you need to, we need to build a fan base. I mean, we sell this stuff to our clients, and we don't even do it ourselves, and really, it's a bad sign, and even the clients didn't seem to know this. It's something we wanted to grow in, we wanted to grow in that. And our Facebook post, we decided we're not going to measure it on likes. Like I said, yeah, everyone likes it. If I post something, even on the company, still my mom likes it. We measure on interactions on Facebook, so we really want comments on stuff. We want to ask people for stuff. We want people to comment on it. And yeah, if you take a look at our Facebook timeline, we've really grown into just some random posts with a couple of likes into active discussions and more people actually doing something with it. Another thing we wanted to grow was our own name. I mean, we all think we're doing awesome stuff, and we all want to be better than the rest. And yeah, if you want to be better than the rest, at least people have to know who you are before people can have an opinion about you. That for us, that meant doing a Ruby user group together with another bunch of companies in Enschede. There used to be a Ruby user group. It really died down a bit, and together with 2 other companies, we said, yeah, we should really bring life back into this so we can build up the community again, and obviously build up our name a little bit as well. Another part of it is going to conferences, and not only going to conferences anymore, but yeah, standing up on the stage, talking about the stuff we do, talking about the stuff we want to achieve, and yeah, it's obviously one of the goals we did really make, because yeah, I'm standing here in the end. Yeah, what it really comes down to is with these goals you set every month you set a higher goal, every month you want to achieve a little bit more, and in the end it can only boil down to one thing. If you do improve these goals every month, if you do make your goals every month, it can only turn to one thing. At one point you have to be better than the rest, because you've been growing every single month, and the other guys are just making the deadlines. It's as easy as that. Thank you.